Welcome, Prabhu. Then I will shortly explain our Sunday program. We will now have a talk on Krishna consciousness philosophy till 5 o'clock. Then we will have a vegetarian feast. At 6:15, a guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock, a temple ceremony. And from 8 o'clock onwards, we will have more kirtan, more singing of mantras. And for today's talk, we are very happy here to invite His Grace Gaura Hari Prabhu. Please welcome him with a big Hari Bol. Gaura Hari Prabhu is actually coming here with his wife, Her Grace Vaijayanti Mataji. Also, welcome to you. And just a short introduction. Prabhu, he is originally from Switzerland, and he came into contact with Krishna consciousness in 2002, actually also in this temple, I think. And just shortly after, he got the opportunity to serve his spiritual master, His Holiness Sachinandra Maharaj, as a personal servant and traveling around with him. And around 2012, Prabhu then served as a temple president in Germany, in Goloka Dham, a very, very wonderful devotee community. And from 2020 onwards, both of them, they are traveling and also guiding devotees in their spiritual journey, and also connecting them to the sacred land of Vrindavan. And very happy that you came here today and for your association. And Prabhu will speak on the topic of rediscovering the value of the Holy Scriptures. And before we start, a question for a translation. Braucht jemand eine deutsche Übersetzung? Okay. Könntest du Manu die deutsche? Manu, wird die deutsche Übersetzung geben, gleich simultan. And then second request, we have much space here in the front. Please come everyone as close as possible. And I wish you a happy Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will speak about rediscovering the Holy Scriptures. I choose the rediscovering, knowing that many of you might know already something about the Holy Scriptures, but that's something that we might have to rediscover. I personally benefit a lot in my spiritual journey to have this support of the Holy Scriptures, and therefore I chose this topic for today's lecture. So we will see today the benefit of reading into the Holy Scriptures, and hopefully there will be enough benefits so that we will get desire to read more, and not only to read more, but to read more in depth. And then we will see how to overcome obstacles for reading. There might be some obstacles that do not allow us or block us from reading in the Holy Scriptures. And then we will see how we can deepen this experience of reading, moving from reading to studying, to applying, contemplating, meditating, memorizing, so on and so forth. So we will read a verse from Bhagavad Gita, because we speak of the Scriptures. It's important we have also the support of the Scriptures. But I just want to give a small introduction before we read this verse from Bhagavad Gita. In our philosophy, there are 9 processes of devotional service to please the Lord. And the first one is called Shravanam, which means hearing. to hear actually from saintly persons and to hear from the Holy Scriptures. Now, long ago, people were able to hear and memorize immediately and remember just by hearing. But now, in the age in which we live, we have not so much remembrance. We forget very easily. And at the beginning of Kali Yuga, a literary incarnation of the Lord, Vyasadeva, decided to write down all these Vedic scriptures so that it will be in a written form, so that it will be helpful for us with not so clear brain to be able to keep in contact, in touch with those Holy Scriptures. And those Holy Scriptures is almost like a special language. You have different countries that have different languages, and the Holy Scriptures speak a very particular language, which is the language of God. God himself speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, and what he's speaking is this language, this particular language of the Holy Scriptures. And all saintly persons, they speak the same language. Like if I speak French with another person, French, we speak the same language, we can communicate nicely. So the Holy Scriptures are a very particular language, which is the language of the truth, which is the language that is beyond the dualities of this world. And this language, when we come in touch with, can transport us into a different realm and take us out of the small world in which we are often lost, struggling, suffering, hopeless, so on and so forth. So the verse that we will read today is from Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is a discussion between Lord Krishna and his dear friend Arjuna, and today we hear Arjuna speaking. It is in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is, I think, called The Glories of the Absolute. And in this chapter, Lord Krishna is revealing to Arjuna his opulences. He's telling all the opulences that he has, because he is the Supreme Lord, so therefore he has a lot of those opulences. And in the middle of the chapter, Arjuna speaks. Arjuna said, "O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your word." So let's say around 20 verses, Krishna speaks about his glories. And now Arjuna says, I want more. Please keep going. I want to hear more. Why? Because this is nectar. This is nectar for my ear. And Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of our society, is writing a little purport. He said, a similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the sages of Naimisharanya. They said, one can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus, Arjuna is interested in hearing about Krishna, and specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amrita is concerned, nectar, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar. And this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fictions, and histories are different from transcendental pastimes of the Lord, in that one will get tired of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is full with references to the past times of the incarnation of God. The Puranas, which are the Vedic scriptures, the holy scriptures, are histories of bygone ages that relate the past times of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh, despite repeated reading. I just offer one small prayer before I start to speak. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes. Therefore, I offer him my respectful obeisances. So here we already get in touch with one of the benefits of hearing from the Holy Scriptures. Anyone got something of what I read? What is happening if one hear more about the glories of the Lord? Yes? Yes, it's Amrita. It's like nectar. And one never get tired of it. One always wants more and more and more and more. So that's already one of the benefits of reading or hearing from the scriptures. So the contact with the Holy Scriptures will give us taste or nectar, which is actually nourishing the soul. We do so many things to care for our bodies, but often we don't care so much of our real identity as a soul. So when we connect with the Holy Scriptures, we are giving nourishment to our real self, to us as a soul. Another benefit of reading in the Holy Scriptures is that it takes us out into a different realm. We can see the world from a higher perspective, of a different perspective. And I think you all know this feeling when we get too much absorbed in our own small world, and when life becomes a struggle, when we feel we have to defend ourselves and we don't have clarity in our consciousness. So that's very often the reason is that we don't read enough into the scriptures that will naturally take us in the higher plane of consciousness. It's actually expanding our consciousness, it's broadening our perspective of life. It's helping us to see life from a different perspective. There is one saying, it's a Sanskrit term, is Shastra Chakshu. That means to see through the scriptures. And when we read regularly in the scriptures, we can see our life according to the light of the scriptures. We can see beyond the dualities of this world. And it will keep us also on a spiritual platform. And when Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, was developing the movement of Krishna consciousness, he was writing books, he was traveling a lot, he was taking care of many, many devotees. And in the night, he will wake up and write his books, which I will say, those holy books are of very special and particular qualities because they have a very powerful effect of transformation. Very, very powerful. So Prabhupada will write and translate books, and he will translate Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he will write his purport, his commentary. But that was not his commentary. He had 10 different other saints who had given commentaries, and he was just compiling and taking from all those commentaries and making it in a very powerful way. So when Prabhupada was translating the books, he was translating Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he translated one verse, and he said, this verse now should be given to, everyone should get this verse. right now. Usually you would have to wait that the book is published, that the book is finished to be translated. But when Prabhupada translated that verse, he said, now fax this verse to all the temple that are there. Everyone should now hear this verse and meditate on that verse. This is Madhya Lila 25:278. Men become strong and stout by eating sufficient grains. But the devotee who simply eats ordinary grains but does not taste the transcendental pastimes of the Lord gradually become weak and fall down from the transcendental position. However, if one drinks but a drop of the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, his body and mind began to bloom. And he begins to laugh, sing and dance. This is the symptom of a happy people. Happy people, they will laugh, sing and dance. By the way, I think we are the only true happy people who sometimes sing and dance in the streets here and there. The only other who do that are usually people who are under drugs or other things. But the only one who do that with a sincere, happy feeling in the heart are the devotees. So Prabhupada wrote a little purport on this verse. He said, all the devotees connected to Krishna consciousness must read all the books that have been translated. Otherwise, after some time, they will simply eat, sleep, and fall down from their position. Thus, they will miss the opportunity to attain an eternal blissful life of transcendental pleasure. So what is happening? We are living into an environment that is very, very much material, very, very much colored by material energy. And this by itself has the tendency to drag us down. But when we read in the Holy Scriptures, it has an upward effect for our consciousness. So when we read regularly, it keeps our consciousness over the cloud. That's an expression Prabhupada will often mention. We should go beyond, over the cloud. And we see here, I mean, Switzerland is already much better than Germany, but a lot of clouds during winter. But if you take the flight, as soon as you are over the cloud, wow, the sun is shining. It's such a different atmosphere. So the scriptures will take us over the cloud of material existence. So those were some thoughts about the benefits of reading into the scriptures, and now we will look into practical tips and how to overcome obstacles for us to read. What could be an obstacle for us that do not allow us to read? Now I make it a little interactive. I will be happy if someone of you have an answer. Preoccupation, okay, good. We have so many other things to take care of. Now reading, is too many other things to do. No time.
Patience. Patience to read.
No patience to read. That's also a good one. I see sometimes when I want to read, I say, okay, now I will read half an hour. And the first 10 minutes, I think 3 or 4 times I'm ready to stand up to do something. And no, you stay down. And we are so much accustomed to live fast and do so many things and quick. It's actually one needs some self-control to just sit down and read. By the way, if you do it in the morning time, it's much easier. But if you try to do it during the day, then it's not so easy. Wonderful. Okay, I think we covered already. I had also 2 of the obstacles. The first one I thought is a lack of interest. Or we can connect to what you were saying. We have too many other priorities. Reading in the scriptures is not really a priority in our life. Too many other important things to do. And sometimes also for devotees who are already practicing, we think, oh, I know already. I have read already, I know already. Why should I read again? But one devotee was saying something very good. He was saying, we read to remember what we already know. So there are many things we know, but we just constantly forget. So to read, we actually remember what we already know. And we should actually reflect on the importance of reading in the scriptures. And when we do it for a little while, we immediately feel the impact that it has on our life. And then it's actually much easier to keep on reading and to increase our reading. There is one of our spiritual masters, His Holiness Kanamba Kanana Swami. He left this world a few years ago. And in his spiritual life, there is a time when he thought, enough of spiritual life, I take a break. And he went into material life again for some times. And then he felt, after some times he understood, there is no juice, there is no nectar in this life. I should go back to the temple. So he went to the temple and he arrived and he said, I would like to join the temple again. I was already a devotee, but I understood now the value of being in the temple. I want to join. And the temple said, you sit here on the sofa, and here there is a magazine, Back to Godhead magazine. You read Back to Godhead magazine, and we'll come back to you. So he sat and he saw the Back to Godhead magazine he had already read. So he said to the devotee, I read this one already. The devotee said, no worry, read it one more time. So he sat to read, and he read it full time. It took 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and still no one came to him. And he thought, maybe they are testing me. So he just took the instruction seriously and read another time through the same magazine. And he was saying it was an amazing experience for him, because every time he was reading, he was discovering more, discovering more. So so more or less this obstacle of lack of interest is we can go over it by understanding the importance of reading, and for that a lecture of telling few benefits might not be enough. But if you try to do it, you will immediately feel the benefits in your own life. And the other obstacle, lack of time. And sometimes when we take breakfast, my wife asked me a question. And she asked me, when did you schedule your reading time for today? And I often say, oh yes, reading time. Okay, good idea. I did not place the priority. I did not thought it will be something important. But if we want to actually take time for reading, we have to schedule it. That works much better. One thing that helps me also when I do not have enough time is that when I read and I find something that touches me, that touch my heart, I put a sticker at this place of the book. And sometimes when I do not have time to read, I just read what are on the stickers, because I know those are like place that can immediately reach to my heart. The same Swami that I was speaking to you, Kanamba Kanana Swami, he was once giving me a tip for taking time to read. He said, you just leave a holy book open in your room. And when the book is open and you are walking around the room and like this, you just be attracted to read maybe just one verse or just a little bit of the book. Can you imagine? I mean, this is a standard that often we hear in our institution, that we should read around 1 hour a day, which is quite substantial. But if we will do that, if we will spend 1 hour a day reading into the Holy Scriptures, can you imagine the impact it will have on our consciousness? Because those Holy Scriptures can have a very, very powerful effect of transforming. They can actually transform our consciousness. Did you notice when you see different peoples, they have different aura, they have different energies? Like when you will see saintly persons depicted in different tradition, usually you will see a halo around them. And sometimes when you see devotees, you see pictures of devotees before they were devotees. And you see them now. Wow, what a gulf of difference. The person looks very, very different. And the thing is that whatever you meditate upon will influence your consciousness, will influence your subtle body, will be into the subtle part of yourself. And this will become part of yourself and will influence the outer part, the external body, in that way. Sometimes it's funny. Yesterday we went for a walk with Vajjayanti, just here in the Dolder. And when we were walking, we crossed a lady who had two very, very particular dogs. Some type of dog you don't see often. And they were some types of caniche, like big caniche with different frisura. And she looked so much like them. In the expression of the face, I don't want to be offensive at all, but you could see it was very much part of her meditation. It was really like present into our subtle body. So what I want to say is when we have regular reading in the scriptures, our subtle body will transform, and even our appearance will transform, that we will be actually much more happy and relieved and transcendental to the difficulties of this world. So now I want to come to the last part of today's lecture, and I think we should have some time for questions at the end. So in case you get some questions as I go through, you can keep them aside for after. The last one is how to deepen our reading experience. Because this type of transformation I was just mentioning now of the subtle body, it's mainly happening when it's further than reading. But when it goes closer to studying and to really absorb our consciousness in the subject matter. And we are actually very, very lucky in Krishna consciousness. We have a lot of courses that are given in the Holy Scriptures that are done in a systematic way and that help us actually very much to dive and extract the nectar and the application point that we need in our life. There is one scripture, it's called the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, that give a very nice example of how we can go deep into our reading, and it gives 3 steps. Actually, you can also find it in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. The steps are Shravanam, which is hearing or reading, and then is Manana, which means you reflect, you ponder upon. You maybe discuss with other persons what you have read. And the last one is Nididhyasan, which is the application, that you read, you reflect on it, and then you decide, okay, how can I apply that in my life? And that's like the secret to make like a real transformation. If it's just reading, it might not affect much. But if you go to reflecting, discussing, and applying, then it can actually very much transform yourself. There was, I think it's 1 year or 2 years ago, our spiritual master was visiting our temple in Golokadam. He was giving us a retreat for a few days. And then after a few days he was leaving, and we were there, a small group of 20 devotees were saying goodbye. And Maharaj became very grave. Usually when he gives lectures, some of you know he's usually very jolly, smiley, and a little bit bucking the audience here and there, but quite easy, quite smooth, quite soft, let's say like this. But there we were, all of us, saying goodbye to Maharaj. And Maharaj had to work a lot in all those lectures that he was giving us. And he became very grave. And he said, so, what are you going to do now? Are you going to work on anything that you have heard? Are you going to do anything? Are you interested about that? Or are you just fake devotees? Or what are you going to do with that? And that's if we want, for anything in life, if we want to get something, nothing is just falling on our head. We will need to actually endeavor. We will need to make some priorities in our life if we really want to get something. And if we make priorities for this reading, reflecting and applying, that's the best investment that you can do in your life. I think in Switzerland, many people know about investment, but many do not know what is the best investment you can do. Also, to go deep into the scriptures, one thing that is very beautiful and very practical, and that's maybe the main message I wanted to give today to this lecture, is connected to memorization, to memorize. And many times, I don't know how often the devotees are doing nowadays, but 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 10 years ago, it was very much part of training of the monks that they would learn verses of Bhagavad Gita by heart. And when you learn verses, you learn the Sanskrit and you learn what each Sanskrit word means. It has tremendous impact in the heart. And then you can start to see, according to this verse, the verse become like alive. The verse become like blooming and become part of your life. And something that is beautiful is sometimes you can choose a particular verse that will fit for your needs right now. So you might be in a particular situation in life when you have difficulties, some type of difficulty, and you can find a verse that touches exactly there. And by learning this verse, it will be like tremendous help in your situation. Like Prabhuji was mentioning before, I was temple president for some years in a community in Germany, but they all said to be temple president you need a thick skin, because often you are the target of whatever goes wrong, temple president. And I did not have this thick skin, so I was very easily affected by criticism and so on and so forth. And one day I met a devotee, and he said, "Gaurahari, I have to tell you something." I said, "Yes, please." Then he said, "Better I don't tell you." I said, "Oh, come on, now you have to tell me." And he said, if you will know what people speak about you, I cannot tell you, but it's really not glorious." And then he left. Wow, that was, you don't know who. It seems everyone, and you don't know even why and what and how. And so I was really, and with a thin skin, then you can really get mental. So I was really struggling with that. And in my own reading, I found a verse that just saved me in that situation. And that's a verse that Prahlad Maharaj speaks to his father, Hiranyakashipu. His father was very demoniac personality, and his son is teaching him. So this is the verse I want to share with you. "My dear father," so Prahlad Maharaj speaks to his father, and I made a little adjustment for me. I say, "My dear Gaurahari." My name is Gaurahari. "My dear Gaurahari, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends." Because that's what's very, who are my enemies? Who are my friends? Who are the people I can go good? "Do not discriminate in your heart between enemy and friends. Make your mind equipoised toward everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy in this world. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshipping the Lord perfectly." Very, very beautiful. When we come to this point of seeing equality in all human beings, everyone is a soul, a part of the Lord, everyone is precious, then we actually can worship the Lord perfectly. What a beautiful verse. So that was a verse that was saving me at that time. Just by memorizing, reciting regularly, meditating upon, just made the switch. Why am I now so affected by friends and enemies? Everyone is a soul servant of the Lord. Everyone trying to do his best, even though some are not happy with me. I'm also trying my best what to do. And I had another verse that was very therapeutic for me recently. In Golokadam, I used to, when we have festival, to make announcement to be the master of ceremony. And the last 3 or 4 festival, things were really getting wrong, and I was just saying things that were stupid, and I was mashing my words, and I was just not able to do this service anymore. And when you have few times the same, defeat or the same failure, you start to lose confidence in you. So I was now coming to the next festival. I thought, oh my God, if this time I don't manage, I can't say goodbye to my service. That's the end, if this time doesn't work. And my spiritual master saw that I was a little bit in difficulty. I was a little insecure. And he gave me a verse. That's a verse of Bhagavad Gita, 1858, which is very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. The verse says, Krishna speaks to Arjuna. And Krishna said, if you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of life. But if, however, you don't work in this consciousness, but work on the false ego, meaning I'm the doer, and you forget me, you are not able to hear my words, then you are lost, Krishna said. So I understood, okay, I'm close to be lost. I rather think of the Lord, I rather connect to the Lord and try to hear the Lord so that I will be able to pass this obstacle. How will I do it on my own? It's just not possible. I need the blessings of the Lord. So this is just a small example that by memorizing, you bring inside of your consciousness a very powerful words or verse of wisdom that will impact your life and that will help you to actually overcome the difficulties that you are going through life. And feel free to approach some devotees to help you choose the verse you might need at the particular time of your life. The last point I want to make today is still connected to memorization, but we often heard we should memorize verses of philosophy, but the Holy Scriptures are very vast. In the Holy Scriptures, we do not have only philosophy. But we have something we heard in the different verses I was reading, which are the pastimes of the Lord. And one can also learn by heart pastimes of the Lord. There is Prahladananda Swami. He learned the entire Krishna book by heart. He could just tell you the whole Krishna book by heart, like this. And I was once in the New Mayapur in France, and there again was Kadamba Swami. Somehow my life was very often connected. And Maharaj was giving a seminar. Harivamsha was the seminar, which means the family of Krishna, family of Hari. And after the seminar, we were taking prasadam in the gardens of New Mayapur, but there was something I did not really understood, so I approached him. And there was another Swami that used to come here, Paramgati Swami was there also. They were taking prasad together. So I approached Kadamba Swami and I said, I have a question about your seminar. Why did Krishna did such and such activity? And then Paramgati was next to me and they said, wait a minute, are you ready? If you hear about the pastimes of the Lord, do you know that you will not be here anymore? Do you know that you will be into another dimension? And that really struck me, because when we hear about the pastimes of the Lord, it takes us really beyond the material sphere. And there is the Amrit. There is the nectar of Krishna consciousness that we all look for as spiritual souls. So when I started to join the temple here in Zurich, it came a day when it was Ekadashi. Ekadashi are special days that come two times a week, which are very important for spiritual practices. That's the 11th day of the moon or something like this. And on that day, I thought, let me learn a pastime of the Lord. And I took a book. Srimad Bhagavatam. I just drink a little. It's maybe a good sign. I thought I will learn a pastime. So I took the Krishna book, I opened somewhere, and I had my notebook, and I just made bullet points of the main parts of the pastimes that I was reading, the activities of the Lord. And it was just such enlivening experience that I want to tell you this particular story I was learning at that time. Are you ready? Let's get warm here. When Krishna appeared in this world, he was living in a small village called Vrindavan. And every day with his friends, he would go to the forest to herd the cows. Even though he was God, the Supreme Lord, he liked to hide that he was God and just play with his friends in the nature and with the cows. And one day, as they were out playing with the cows, all the boys became hungry. They were early out, and they came to Krishna and they pointed their belly with their finger and said, "My Lord, we are so hungry. We are so hungry. Can you help us?" So Krishna said, "I have a good idea. Close by, there is one house. And in this house, there are some brahmanas, some priests. And they make big yagya, big ceremonies to worship me, to worship the Lord, but they don't know. They don't know who I am. But they have a lot of food. They have mountains of food. You go there to those brahmana and you ask them for some food." The boys say, okay, we'll go. And then Krishna say, "But be ready. It's not always easy to be a beggar. Maybe in case they don't give you, be ready for that." So the boys came, they were jolly, they knew soon our belly will get relieved. And they came close to the house of those brahmana. They could smell the very special smoke of the ghee that is burned into the yagya. And they saw the brahmanas, the priests were there making ceremonies, Om, chanting mantra svaha. And the boys, they came and they offered their obeisances to the brahmanas. And they said, "Brahmanas, we are very, very hungry. And we are with Krishna. Krishna is there. And he's also hungry. Can you please give us some food?" But the brahmanas thought, who are those boys? Who are those just small cowherd boys? We have much important to do. We are doing our ceremony. Go. Svaha, svaha. And the boys said, "The person you worship, he's there. He's hungry. You rather give something to him." But they just could not. They were just too much absorbed to their ritualistic ceremonies. So they went back to Krishna and said, "We are even more hungry now. What should we do?" And then Krishna said, "Okay, now you go again. But this time, you go to the wives of the brahmana. And you ask the wives of the brahmanas." So the boys say, "Okay, let's try another time." They went and they passed next to the yagya ceremony place, and they went to the house where the ladies, the wives of the brahmanas had been cooking. And they came and they say, they offer their obeisances again, like we do in India, like offering respect. And they say, "Dear mothers, we are so hungry. And Krishna is also there with us, and he's also hungry. Please give us some food." And when the ladies, they heard Krishna, the sound of Krishna's name came in their ears and reverberated. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, he's hungry. They became overwhelmed with sweet anxiety. they became anxious. We have to nourish Krishna. If Krishna is there and he's hungry, we absolutely have to give him everything. So they started to fill up everything in some pots. Some of those pots were of clay, but some were crystal, some were gold, and some had crystal lid in which you could see the items that are inside because it's transparent crystal. They had trays where they place different samosas, different snack in a very, very beautiful way. Everything they were doing because they were doing for Krishna. So they were doing with a lot of attention and beauty. And then they came out of the house carrying all this food stuff. And the brahmanas were there doing their ceremonies. And they just look aside. They saw their wives were going away with all the food. So they tried to stop. Hey! But the wife did not listen to their husband, which was something amazingly bad. And still is in many, many parts of India. Usually the wife has to really follow what the husband say. But they were ready to even be rejected from society just to go and feed Krishna. So they started to walk to the forest and they were very excited, very excited. We will see Krishna, we will give our food to Krishna. And they were asking the boys, is it far, is it far? No. And then they came close and they first got the fragrance of the Lord, which is said to have very, very particular scent of mixture of lotus, camphor, musk. And then there was a clearing into the forest and there was Krishna and a friend. And here we will make a little pause and we will use a little repetition. I was telling you about repetition when we want to learn something. And I will read you one verse and I will read it 3 times to you. And you are most welcome to close your eyes if you want and try to see the verse in your mind. So this is what the wives they saw when they saw Krishna. So you might like to sit a little bit tall and you might like to close your eyes and I will read it 3 times and try to see it in your mind's eyes.
Which chapter, which verse?
Oh, this is 10th canto, chapter 23, verse 22. Krishna's complexion was dark blue, and his garment golden. Wearing a peacock feather, colored mineral painted on his body, and a garland of forest flower, he was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies, which are flowers, graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. Krishna's complexion was dark blue, and his garment golden. Wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals painted on his body, and a garland of forest flower, he was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. Krishna's complexion was dark blue, and his garment golden. Wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals painted on his body, and a garland of forest flower, he was dressed just like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears. His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. After having seen the Lord like this, the wives of the Brahmana presented all the food they had brought and were feeding Krishna and all the boys who ate sumptuously. And then after that, Krishna said, "Thank you so much, please go back and support your husband who are doing all those ceremonies." But the wives say, no. Now we have abandoned ourselves to you, and we will be rejected. You will go back. Now we are yours, we will stay with you all the time. And Krishna says, I'm a boy, I'm playing with cows. You are all grown-up mothers. Doesn't really fit. No. You go back and I will arrange that everything will be all right when you go back. And when they came back, their husband understood. They got some illumination and they started to curse themselves. They say, what is the use of all our ceremonies? We have missed to serve the Supreme Lord Krishna. And they worshipped their wives and they offered their respect to their vows. So I wanted to share with you this pastime that I was studying here, and that brought actually a lot of joy inside of my heart. And just now to tell it, to remember it, it brings us into a different dimension which is full of sweetness, which is full of transcendence, which is beyond the dualities of this world. This is the world where we actually belong. This is the world where we are actually waited to come back to. So I stop here. I just give a little summary of what I wanted to say today. The principle was that by reading regularly and in depth into the Holy Scriptures, we will transform our character and we will taste spiritual nectar. That was the main point. And we were looking for benefits of reading into the Scriptures. It is nourishing for the soul. It transforms and expands our vision, and it detaches us from worldly worries of this world. Then we had practical tips of how to overcome obstacle of I have no time or I have many other things to do. We have maybe to try it out for a little while to get the value of the Scripture, to understand the value so that we can actually do it in a substantial way. And the main point of because of time, try to schedule it, even if it's a little bit. If you can do it in the morning, 10 minutes. We were last year visiting a friend, and as soon as he wake up, he's drinking hot water, which is very good for Ayurveda. Ayurveda says, drink hot water when you wake up. And as he drink his hot water, he read a verse of Bhagavatam. First things he's doing when he wake up. Many people will read first the newspaper, but it actually makes a huge difference if you read a verse of the Holy Scriptures in the morning. And then at the end we were looking of reading is good, but it will have much bigger effect if you make it deeper, if you actually go into study, into memorizing, into applying what you read in the Scriptures. So we have still a little time. I did not leave much time, but I will be very happy if you have some question about it, if you have some doubts, maybe about what I say that maybe might not work, or... Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. One question is, usually when we read scriptures, it sounds sometimes that it's a little bit far and not relevant for my life, or a little difficult to see, and to see how I can now derive some learnings from it from my life. So if you can give some advice on this topic, on this thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Very. And many people, they say, oh, those holy scriptures, this is out of date. That doesn't function anymore nowadays. It's old-fashioned. But actually, those scriptures are eternal in the sense that they deal with birth, with old age, with disease and death. And nothing has changed from long ago. Those are the difficulties and problems that are all the time here in this material world. So in that sense, the Holy Scriptures are never out of date. Now, Holy Scriptures are very vast, and it might not be easy to just pick up one of them and directly understand it. A big, a huge, grandiose, grand thank you to His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who translated those books in a way that makes us much easier to understand. And actually, there are different books that are recommended for different stage of advancement. So that therefore one could also ask advice from those who knows the scriptures nicely of what could be a good book that could fit to me at this stage. And sometimes if we are not able to understand or connect well, it's good to try to ask a question to the sadhu, because the saintly persons, they speak the same language, they know the language. Like if you have like a very complicated book, I try to learn German since 20 years, but I still cannot give a lecture in German. I'm still not able to do it. But I can understand a little bit. But if now I have a book to learn medicine, PhD on medicine, which is in German, I will not understand anything. But if I approach someone who knows medicine, he will be able to explain it to me in a way that can be easier to understand. So if even by approaching the Holy Scriptures we do not understand, we approach someone who knows the language of the Holy Scriptures, and it can help us to actually pick up and maybe even read together and discuss together. Thank you, very nice question. Yeah.
Would you recommend for beginners?
Bhagavad Gita is really like fantastic. And it's super condensed. Like even if you don't have much time to read Bhagavad Gita, you can read one verse a day. But if you contemplate on it, if you and try to reflect on it, it has a tremendous effect. And that's really very, very much the essence. Bhagavad Gita is really like super good. But there are also different people. Some people are more philosophically inclined, and they can grasp, and some they need more stories. And for stories we have Krishna book, which is also very, very, very nice. Yeah, that I could say. Yeah, thank you. Yes?
Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for this relevant topic. I have a question. You mentioned that when we read something, then we have this tendency to think that I read it and I know it. And I see this tendency in myself when I listen lectures or read also scriptures. And I have this problem, and I want to ask your advice. What can you do?
I think I have a very good answer to that. When I used to travel with my spiritual master, he was often giving same lectures. Here and there, he will prepare a lecture, and then wherever he will travel, he will give the lecture. And there was one particular, it was not a lecture, he will speak of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he will speak the Mahaprakash Lila. And every time I was there and I was playing harmonium, and every time he was saying the same pastime. And after sometimes I felt, I did not tell him anything because I respect Guru Maharaj, but inside of me I was thinking, Guru Maharaj, there are so many other pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Can't you speak another one time? I mean, sometimes he spoke also some other, but mainly it was this one. And when I thought like this, suddenly I heard a voice inside of my heart. And the voice said, really? Do you know this pastime? If now you will have to sit on your Goma's chair and you would have to tell these pastimes, would you know it? And then I understood, actually, I don't know it. I'm thinking that I know it because I heard many times, but if I would have to tell it myself, I would not know it. And that's, if you feel like this, sometimes also a very beautiful, if you read in the scriptures and something touches you, then you put the book aside and you try to think, what did I read? Now if I would have to tell that to my friend, what will I tell? And often you will have to read it another time, and maybe 2 more times. Did I really understood right? Ah, yeah, this, and this. And then actually it becomes part of you. And when it becomes part of you, it transforms, and you can give to others. Because it's vibrant in you, it's living in you. And that's very much the beauty of the saintly person. The Holy Scriptures are living inside them. And when they speak, the Holy Scripture speaks. And their words are illuminating and transforming. So even if you think, I know that, then try to see if you can go deeper, especially if it's something that touches you. If it's something that doesn't touch you too much, keep reading until you find. Sometimes I say you can read like a detective who is looking for inspiration, like we are starving for inspiration. This is our life. We, like the boys, they were so hungry. We are hungry for the soul. Where is the inspiration? Where is it? Here is the inspiration. And memorize it and share it. Thank you. Okay, I think time is up. Huh? Thank you. One last question. Will you apply something that you heard today?
Yes.
Thank you. One brave person. Thank you. Yeah, do not be shy. You will be so much benefited. Remember, this is, if you, like my Gomaj often say, if you forget everything of the whole lecture, remember, this is the best investment that you can do for your life. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace, Gaura Hari Prabhu ki. Thank you very much, Gaura Hari Prabhu, for your presentation and lecture. And usually it reminds us again what fortune we have with this ancient treasure, with this literature. Usually we have some, science fiction story or fantasy story where they discover ancient lost history and whatever. But to see that actually this ancient wisdom, spiritual wisdom, is now available for us in our language to understand and to realize this is really valuable. And thank you very much for encouraging us. And now it's the next part. Outside the feast, vegetarian feast is awaiting you. Please go outside and take a plate and enjoy. Hare Krishna.